Hey there YouTube, it's Troy Shipman here, and today I'm going to try answer the question, what is conceptual art? This is really tough because I've got to explain everything that kind of came before conceptual art in order to explain what's happening in conceptual art. So in the 1800s, there was the invention of photography, and that kind of screwed everything up because all of a sudden you had impressionists, post-impressionists, these people who were trying to cope with the idea that painting didn't need to be realistic anymore. So you have Monet, you have Manet, you have Van Gogh, all these painters who created work that was still of stuff but not necessarily looks like stuff. Then you have artists like Picasso and Braque who take this a step further and really start to push what painting can do, where paint is about paint, it's not about a subject. So you have the birth of basically cubism, where we get abstract art out of it, we get stuff that represents other things, and then from there we get the birth of what we call Futurism, which was this fast, heavy, industrial, all about speed and violence and war. So we had this industrial revolution going on, Futurism came out of it, and so you have Duchamp, who continually pushes the boundaries of what art can be. He starts in Futurism, then he moves to ready-mades, then he moves to conceptual art. It's all completely mind-boggling what Duchamp did. He essentially took art and tossed it on its head, and then when it got back up again, he did it again, and then when everyone was kind of finally okay with what Duchamp was doing, he said, okay, I'm done with this, I'm going to retire. So, as I said, Duchamp kind of started this idea of conceptual art. He started pushing the boundaries of what we considered to be art by doing things that nobody else had done before and justifying it with some very sound reasoning. So what we have is things like his ready-mades. He takes something that is already existing and puts it in a gallery, and therefore it is art. I say it's art, therefore it is art, is essentially his mantra there. And then you have the birth of film and television and radio and all these different things that combine together to create an experience of the senses like none other before. So you had artists that started using video and film, and even printing methods just changed completely. If you look at Andy Warhol, he started using film in order to capture people. Part of his experiment was that you had to do a screen test for him. So when you came into his studio, you had to sit and be filmed for anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on how long you wanted to take it. He did other projects, so he created screen prints, and he started to take the press and the media and manipulate it into his own artwork. And so he started pushing the boundaries of what do we consider art? What is the difference between a photo taken for a newspaper and a photo represented in a gallery? There is none. And that's the gap that he closed, was saying that these are two in the same thing. And then we get to the 1970s. Now this is when everything got fucked up. All of a sudden you have people like Clement Greenberg, Robert Motherwell, Robert Smithson, and others creating these works of art that are actually just pieces of writing, and they're actually talking about art, and they're talking about art critically, and they're presenting their work as a critical discussion of their art, of others' art, of art in general, and art practice. And this is where the boundary between art history and modern art actually crossed, was because we had people who were writing like art historians about modern art, and that was again mind-blowing. It pushed the boundary of what art could be. And then we had people like Sol LeWitt, who based their entire practice off creating formulae and creating art that anyone could make. He blurred the lines of authorship and what we consider to be, ownership. And then you have artists like John Baldessari. He's considered the grandfather of conceptual art. And what he does is he creates works of art that make you feel uncomfortable or make you push your limits of comfort. So things like a poster that gets you to hug the wall and then whisper your prayers to it, or a video where he actually recites some of Sol LeWitt's instructions. And then you have other artists like Marina Abramovic, who is still working to this day on creating situations like this. Now, I know she's the only female I've mentioned so far, but she is so influential on all artists. She creates social situations that make people uncomfortable, whether it be sitting across them in silence, or whether it be allowing them to affect her physically, emotionally, just to do whatever they want to her. There's other artists that are kind of key in this series of creations who cover things like political art or performance art or even relational art, which is another story altogether. I'll do another video on that if you want. These artists are all linked by the idea of conceptual art, and the only thing that really ties them together is that they were pushing the boundary of what we consider art. Therefore, we can only surmise that conceptual art is defined by it hasn't been done before, therefore I'm going to create it. The beauty of conceptual art is not that it's so simple, that it's so easy, and that it's so pure. It's that even that all aside, you can think about it for hours and you'll just keep thinking. So the next time you go through a museum and you see a Robert Smithson, a Donald Judd, a Dan Flavin, take some time and have a think about it. Anyway guys, that's the end of this video.
So
Thank
let's
you
give this a
very
go.
much for
So
paying
a couple of weeks
attention,
ago I
and
asked you guys
if you liked
to
it, please
chuck
leave
some
a thumbs
questions
up
on
below.
Ask FM,
If
and
you
I
want
said
to
I'd
check out
answer it
more
in the
videos
video,
like
so
this,
here we
please
are. First
subscribe
question,
or see
are you
last
the
week's
first
video
in your
here.
family
I
to
hope you
move
guys
out?
have a good week.
No, I'm
I
not.
will
My
catch you
brother
guys on
moved
the next
out.
one. Bye.